Hello and welcome to my forge. British Legion, the channel is linked in the description, had a painting challenge in June. I participated with a knight, but according to Bob Ross, everybody needs a friend. So I painted 4 additional knights whose colors were chosen by subscribers of my channel. As promised, here are the stories of the 5 knights. Sir Nicholas de Loo, Lord of Steed's Manor, drew his sword and looked to his sides. His bannermen and friends sat on their horses waiting for the call to charge the enemy. Nicholas had met most of them during his years as a knight-errant, where he also had earned the nickname the Bloody Wolf for slaying a goblin wolf rider chieftain and his mount. Nicholas and his friends stayed together during their years as knights-errant, and soon they were called the Brothers of the Wolf. When the lands of Baron Tancred de Coville were attacked, Sir Nicholas, as his vassal, followed the call to arms. Now he looked towards the beastmen besieging the village of Coville. In the middle of the settlement stood a small chapel over which the red and blue quartered banner of Sir Wulfric flew, showing that the village was still resisting the forces of darkness. From the Baron's position sounded the call to charge. Nicholas nodded to his trumpeter, Sir Corbin Fitzwalter, and the young knight blew his instrument. The bright sound of trumpets sounded all along the lines, and the knights charged into battle. Sir Nicholas raised his sword and spurred on his horse. It took the large animal only a few moments, then it fell into a gallop and stormed towards the lines of the beastmen. All along the Bretonnian battle lines, the knights' war cries could be heard. Then they broke into the enemy formation, their lances piercing through armor and flesh. After the initial charge, the knights drew their weapons and the melee began. Corbin drew his mace and kept blowing his trumpet until the knights reached the hastily drawn line of the beastmen. They smashed through the first ranks like a hammer breaking glass. Then the beastmen gathered and started to resist. Now the hacking and slaying began. Corbin struck to his left and right, always aware of the attacks of his enemies. As a trumpeter, he had to stay close to his lord, who straightforward charged into battle. Corbin stayed at his lord's side and defended himself and his lord from every attacker who charged at them. A beastman appeared before Corbin, the brown fur dirty and already crusted in blood. He swung his mace at the creature, striking from above directly between its horns. In an attempt to parry the blow, the beast held up a rusty blade which stopped Corbin's mace only for a heartbeat. Then it broke and the heavy mace found its mark, breaking open the skull of the beast. Right in this moment, Corbin's horse kicked out. He turned around to see a beastman with a spear, trying to stab him in the back. Corbin tried to turn his horse around, which was kicking out wildly. The trained warhorse tried to fight off the creature, which stayed out of reach of the horse's hooves, using his spear to stab the knight on its back. When he finally swung his mace at the beastman, Corbin saw a spear point coming towards his face. He dodged the spear and struck with his mace. The weapon hit the shaft, pushing the spear point away from him, only to be replaced by another one. The spear point never found its mark. Sir Wulf of Nurenberg slashed off the head of the beastman in a single strike. He gave a short nod to Corbin. "Always watch out for your back. You'll learn this, young wolf," he said to Corbin, using the nickname they had for the youngest member of their pack. Wolf, whose real name was Wolfgang for his imperial heritage from his mother's side, always rode close to Sir Nicholas. No one had appointed him to this place. He had just taken it long ago, and he had become a kind of a bodyguard to his lord. Wolf lived for fighting and battle. He was a warrior through and through. Not much caring about a chivalrous lifestyle, he was the first to begin weapons training in the morning and the last one to leave. Here in the midst of battle was his place. He struck down another of the horned creatures when the roar sounded in front of him. A huge minotaur raised his club and charged towards the group. Now the battle had become interesting. Wolf shouted a warning and charged forward without any second thoughts. This was an enemy who would prove to be a challenge. Laughing like a maniac, he stormed towards the monstrosity, his sword raised above his head. Nicholas heard Wolf shouting and saw him charging the enemy. "This lunatic," he thought. "Follow him!" he shouted to his knights and spurred on his horse. When Wolf got carried away by the frenzy of battle, he threw all caution in the wind. Jules de Quesnel and Robert de la Decaire gave their horses the spurs and closed up to Wolf. Without hesitation, the knights circled the raging beast like a pack of wolves. Wolf charged headlong into the fray, acting as bait for the minotaur. The monstrosity roared and stormed towards Wolf, only to fall in the trap in which it had maneuvered itself in. Distracted by the charging knight, Robert and Jules attacked the beast from the sides. Without their lances, they had to come very close, but the bloodlust made the beast unaware of the two knights charging. It brandished its massive club at Wolf, who ducked under the blow and rammed the creature with his horse. The steed neighed in protest as its flanks collided with the Minotaur. When Wolf started stabbing at the beast, Jules and Robert stormed to the sides of their foe. Stopping him from moving, they drove their swords under the raised arms of the beast. The frenzied expression on the Minotaur's face changed into surprise. Then he started to cough and blood came out of his maw. The knights turned their horses away and the beast stumbled a few steps before it fell to the ground. The three men shouted in triumph. Sir Nicholas looked at his men and said, "A worthy deed, but the battle is far from over. Follow me." And here are the completed knights. From left to right, Sir Wolf of Nurenberg, Sir Corbin Fitzwalter, Sir Nicolas de Lou, called the Bloody Wolf, Sir Jules de Quesnel, and Sir Robert de la Decaire. If you have enjoyed the video, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and leave a comment below. See you soon in my forge.